Hello and welcome to Lincoln City. Yes, this is EFC 25, your eyes aren't deceiving you. And this is a return to an idea that I had previously of a sim-only career mode. It's something I tried to do on the last one when they brought in the immersive sim, which unfortunately that series did get prematurely ended. I apologise for that one if you were interested in it. This one, however, we're starting a much lower start point, and I intend for this to carry through, because I was tempted to do something with the EFC 25 when it released because of the new tactics system. I felt that might play in really well with the sim-only mode, because finally the tactics and sim-only would blend together and would be slightly more in control of what happens on the field, even though you're not directly controlling anything. I felt it could work, but I held back for reasons I'm not 100% certain on. But I think now I realise there was a missing element. And I will address the elephant in the room because it will be in the title. This is a sim-only realistic RTG. I am using Shed Noise Gaming's spreadsheet for this, and full credit to him and his team. The link to his episode 1 will be in the description below if you want to know how to use the spreadsheet. You'll be able to download the Excel version from his video. You'll be able to get a link in his description to his video on how to use the spreadsheet. I don't want to take any of that away from him. If this takes off, please go watch him and his original stuff on all this. I don't want to steal any of that particular thunder. And more to the point, he probably knows how to use it better than I do. However, there is one thing I do need to talk about here, and that's I don't have Excel. So I will link one thing in my video other than his first episode. I will link to a Google Docs version of the spreadsheet because I had to make it work on Google Docs. It took more time than I'm happy to admit, but it works. Effectively, none of this page on the left-hand side worked, and none of this stats dashboard page worked either. Ignore the numbers, that's from testing. I'll delete them in due course. But I just left them in there to show you that it works. I will say this, the bit that took very long, the bit that took longer than I would have liked, in particular, was making this bit work where there's a tie in the numbers, which is obviously probably going to appear on like the red cards most of all. Everything else would start differentiating out quite quickly, I imagine, in terms of appearances, goal scores and all that jazz. But red cards, probably quite low. Also ignore the fact there are non-goalkeepers with clean sheets. Again, like I say, testing purposes. Yeah, making sure the ties worked because it kept just putting the same person twice. Getting that bit to work, that was the tricky bit. But it all works now. I'll link a blank version in the description below. I've made a blank version. If you want to do the realistic save and you don't have Excel, I've now got you covered. That's the only bit I will take credit for. The rest of it, as I say, all to Ches and his team. Hi Ches if you're watching. Actually, I'll just go back to the squad page because this is probably the best spot to actually show you the squad as a whole. This is Lincoln in a nutshell. I've also put in a couple of bits in here on here just for my own notes, more than anything, of just, you can see it in the middle there, IRL certs and IRL fringe players. I did my research. I'm also a little bit more clued up on how Lincoln are playing this particular year. I'm from the area. I do support them in the first place, but I'm a little bit more clued in because my stepdad now has a season ticket and has been going. So I've got a little bit more knowledge on how this particular season is going specifically. I tried to list the players that are seemingly the main teamers and the players that are seemingly on the fringe. Walker seems to be the one most out in the cold, followed by, I would say, Street and Duffy are the next most. I've only put Street ahead of Duffy from the fact that Duffy is 20 and the lowest earner. He's not really a priority to get rid of, and he could develop a little bit. Whereas Street is also young, but he's 22, so slightly older, and maybe slightly less development left in him, but he's also not on a lot of money either. Those two are kind of not really in the picture for getting rid of, but Street is over 21, which is crucial for registration purposes, whereas he's not part of the registration. Walker is effectively the only one that I would probably try to get rid of at this point. Everyone else in this 22 registrations, and obviously people who are under 21 don't count, so there's more than 22 players, but everyone out of the 22 other than Walker seem to have use. I don't fully know why they're not using Walker. He is the most experienced striker they have, and he's a good rating in-game, which I should now go to. If I just pop over to the team sheet, this effectively feels like the starting 11 for Lincoln. From doing my research, from looking around, there's a few. I will say this. Michael Scribala in real life, the manager of Lincoln City, does appear to utilise a fair amount of squad rotation, the full depth of his squad, which is nice. It's nice. It's annoying to work out what the actual first 11 is, but this feels like it. You got the two young strikers on the bench as well. I will say this, the worst of the three goalkeepers appears to be the backup goalkeeper. That's the strange bit. Otherwise, this feels like it. And it feels wrong to not have like a left back on the bench. That's because they don't do left backs. They tend to play this formation. It's either a 3-5-2, which doesn't exist in EFC as far as I can tell. There's none with just a flat 3 midfield. You have to either have an AM or a DM. And in just terms of the players that exist, Erhon is effectively the most crucial of all of this. The DM version is the one that makes more sense out of the two. So this seems to be the main tactic. There are others that they have used. They have done a 4-back on occasion. I will try and stick to one formation as much as possible, but if it doesn't work, we'll adjust accordingly. If you are interested, there's the code. I will say this, though. It does seem weirdly Amorim. And bear in mind, Scavallo was been there before Ruben Amorim came to Man United. I do find it kind of weird. And bear in mind, I've got these on box to box, but they do get advanced when they're in the ball. It does feel weird that the Red Devils and the Imps are playing similar formations in real life now. Just a weird coincidence of similarly nicknamed teams. I should say as well, I am recording this in advance of its release. The first 2 or 3 were probably recorded before the first one goes live, so anything that you suggest might not be implemented straight away, is what I'm trying to say, essentially. So if I've made any mistakes, if there's anything you think I could be doing better, it might take a little while for that to come through. If I can retroactively sort it out spreadsheet-wise, then that's great. If it's something in-game, apologies in advance. Transfers, the main one. I will likely be done with the first transfer window by the time this first video goes live. But I will take into account any suggestions for January. Just in regards to transfers, I don't really know what you would do with this team. As I say, Walker is the only one who's effectively on the chopping block, and I don't know what you would need to add to this. The main situation squad-wise, and I probably should go on the squad hub for this rather than this, is all the centre-backs have one year on their contract remaining. But there's only 4 of them right out centre-backs. Dorico has played it in real life. He doesn't have it listed in the game. So, one other alteration I have made, I should say as well, that's just reminded me about position changes, is Moylan. Moylan is in-game coded as a striker. He doesn't seem to play there in real life. Those are the 3 positions that he plays, according to the internet and their information available on it. He appears to be CAM, left wing, and CM. Primarily CM and left mid, actually, in-game. In real life, but I've left it as left wing rather than left mid. Realistically, he seems to play in this left-hand centre mid role most of all, and occasionally out on the left. But the left usually seems to be Hackett or Jeffries, and Jeffries seems to play in this left-hand centre mid role a reasonable amount as well. So there's a lot of flexibility in this team, which makes acquisitions weird. Arguably, even though he's well rated by the team and the manager, he's got the longest contract here as Wickens. He's actually the worst player of the first 11 is the goalkeeper. But he is young and he can develop. So, and one more thing I do need to note is in a slight deviance from the realistic RTG rules is I have allowed 1 coach per section. I'm still keeping, and I'm not sure how convinced I am on capping the growth to just 3, because particularly with young players, that feels wrong. But at the same time, if a young player develops a lot and outgrows the team, essentially, then it would be realistic for them to maybe want to move up the hierarchy. If we're still in League One, they might want to move to the Championship. If they've grown a lot, they might even join a Premier League team, for instance. If that happens and they gain interest, then it would be realistic to sell them if they have developed dramatically, say from 61 to 68. They might want to move to a Championship team. I think realistically, what I might do is, say for like Erhorn, who is the highest at 68, have a cap of 3 above the highest rating, which is Erhorn, so 71. And if any players develop beyond that, then you cap them to 71. Whereas leave all the younger players as much ability to grow as possible. I think that is actually more realistic, in my opinion. Like, say, a goalkeeper like Wickens, over the course of the year, could go from 61 to 66. He'd still be on par with the rest of the first team. It wouldn't be unrealistic for him to get to that level in a year. But a player like Erhorn going from 68 to 75, that would be ridiculous. So it won't necessarily be a cap per player. It will just be a cap based on the highest, if that makes sense. So it would either be a blanket cap of 3 more than the highest rated player, in this case Erhorn, or it'll be a cap of a kind of anyone on 66, 67, 68 can go up to 3, but anyone 65 essentially and lower can only go to 68, as high as the highest player was at the start of the year. But anyone who was within 3 of Erhorn to begin with can grow 3. It's a little bit complicated to say like that, but I hope you understand what I mean. Something like that might be the way I go with this. but I've only gone with one. They're all 2 stars. I've put myself in a limit of that. In League One, you can only have 2 stars. Knowledge level, I try to keep it as low as possible whilst maintaining 2 stars. Frankly, knowledge levels, sure, whatever. Having one person who's an expert, having one who's accomplished 2 novice, it feels about the right level for League One. But 2 stars is the maximum, and it's only 1 coach. So it's not really a huge... I'm also hoping this helps stave off a problem that I'm already seeing in the original RTG that has been addressed, and that's the old players regressing. Unfortunately, there aren't really any old players here other than Deriqua, and it's very confusing what it says on him because it just says ETA 27 weeks. Jackson does have a level down. There we are. That's the one I'm looking for. Jackson level down, for instance. Trying to slow that down as much as possible. I have gone with the same rule set of having seniors regress slower. So it's basically just trying to stop that as much as possible. Youth squad wise, I don't know why they've not been released. Oh, no, I know that's why. I've used the editor, of course. I've gone in the editor. I haven't just blankly removed anyone whose potential is above the potential threshold. Youth wise, it's 10 higher than the potential of 10 higher than the highest rated player. So 78 is the max. All of these players actually have a potential of less than 78. I just used the editor. Even though his boundary is 69 to 93, for instance, his potential is actually less than 78. So if his potential gets higher than 78, then we will release him. Yeah. And in terms of incoming reports, I won't just dismiss reports either that have a threshold higher than 78. I will wait for them to see if they go on to 78. I won't go... I don't think you can actually go in the editor to look at those ones. All of these players have maximum potentials less than 78. I mean, 2 of them already do, but all of them do. I got rid of the ones that did have a potential of higher than 78. So that's basically the main admin for a realistic RTG that I can cover without stepping on too many toes. Everything else is kind of as is. If you notice the money's quite high, that's just because I tried to get youth scouts. And turns out if you just keep hiring scouts and removing them, it just replaces them with 1-star, 1-stars. I'm stuck with the 1-1-1-star, 1-star scout for now. I'll work on that as the weeks progress. But they're covering England for now. But yeah, if you see the money's weird, all money things are tracked on here, on the spreadsheet. I've accidentally dragged spend to the first tab. All the money's here. I've taken the money from FM, and that's FM last season. In game, it was 1.6. I don't know which is more realistic, and Wagerize similarly. But I'm just going to run with that for now. You can actually see the original number. I've left it as a number just underneath the spreadsheet as reference. If you think I should start with the 1.6 million that EFC has, then let me know. But I'm going to run with the 900k to begin with. But all the rules are also in the spreadsheet itself, just in case you need a quick reference. But financial rules, they're all there. The main one to pay attention to early on is season ticket. Also, I should just point out one thing that is technically a minor error. It says 33 and 66. That doesn't add up to 100%. Just the OCD part of me is saying 1/3, 2/3, rather than exactly 33 rounded and exactly 66 rounded. It's either should be 33 and 67 or 1/3, 2/3. Messes with my brain a little bit, and I will be altering that personally to exactly 1/3, 2/3. It's easier to calculate as well than dividing by 100 times by 33. You just divide by 3. Also, I am trying to get 2-star scouts. It seems like just hiring and firing, no matter what rating they are originally, hiring and firing just replaces them with 1-star scouts. So I don't know how long it takes to refresh the list. I couldn't wait for the first one, so I've got them looking at England, even though they're 1-star scout. So player wages, and I'll add coach wages in because they do exist. That is obviously the downside of having the coaches, is the fact they do cost money. So as per the spreadsheet, you do player wages as normal, but shirt sales are 1/3, I think 25%. On the spending page, you need to create a bunch of ones just to make sure they all get registered for the season. I will include coach wages. Scouting and all that jazz doesn't go towards any of this, as far as I'm aware anyway. So 25% of 63 is 15,750, if I'm not mistaken, which is an annoying number, but, Actually, why am I getting the player wages from here? I should get the player wages off the squad track, season track. Current committed wages is 50,002, in fact, so it's not actually that much more. Okay, so why Lincoln being involved with Palmer and Genoa? That feels too much, if I'm honest. Huesca, Malaga seems a lot as well. I don't actually know. Malaga might be second tier. That's higher prize money. It seems to be more realistic teams. Did Genoa get relegated? Are they all second tier Italian teams? Last one beats Wimbledon, Bradford, MK Dons, a bunch of Portuguese teams in there, and Dunfermline I'm going to run with based on the badge. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, 3 Dutch teams and 4, let's say 4 second-tier Spanish teams. I think we'd be invited to that one. It is the lowest of the 3. Or is it Dundee? That makes more sense. I knew it had to be a Scottish team that was just just D, basically. DL has gone to Leipzig. That seems weird. MK Dons won a loan Partington for 2 years. Partington's a weird one, as I say, because he is actually the official backup goalkeeper, seemingly. There's a weird situation where Partington has been on the bench the most, but Zeecock has actually played more games. So Partington's featured in the matchday squad as the bench goalkeeper, but Zeecock, when he has appeared, has started more than Partington. It's a confusing situation. I've only got 3 goalkeepers and I'm not really willing to get rid of any of them, particularly the MK Dons. They can start off. No offense to the 3 MK Dons fans, but I'm not going to help them out in any way, shape or form. So I am getting scout reports. I am specifically asking them to look for centre-backs. If any of these have potential, no idea. Obviously, I don't know about a younger one. That's just from a previous version, I think, but he's not a centre-back. Okay, so popped in a few debutant star signings as well for star signing debut shirt sales, it seems. So I'm going to run with the 25% off those as well for a 42,750 bump there. 42,750 bump there does help the old profit margins a little bit. Now for Monster is a weird one because it is somewhat realistic. I do need to go through all of the... I think I am going to reject that, and I do need to sort out, before I go any further, any of these contracts. We're 2 games into the 3-game, I think it is, preseason tournament. Not going well. Obviously, some of these are loans. House is a bit of a question mark. I'll leave him maybe a little bit longer. Obviously, Walker's one of those. Actually, I might try to actively sell him, just because he only has 1 year left in his contract anyway. But for the centre-backs, with that, Adam Jackson is actually maybe regressing already at 30. That's not great. All these wages are based off FM, incidentally. I'm going to renegotiate all of these wages based on age. So a player like Ruffin, on the assumption that's how it's pronounced, probably sort of 3-year contract, something like that. Jackson, maybe a 1-year extension. If he turns 31 this year, then getting him to 32 might be sensible. Just a 2-year deal. Or maybe wait a little bit on him before actually renegotiating him. Conor and Monsma, short 2-year deals, 2-year deals. So get them through to 2027. I think Ruffin maybe we extend to 2024. Dariq we extend another year because he seems to be really quite good. Actually, he's one of the better players here anyway. He's on less wage than some of these other ones that I've got 1 year on them. So whilst I don't really have anyone to bounce off in the sense of getting confirmation on these, I am going to work on a case-by-case basis based on their age, based on the length of the contract, and based on what wages they're on already and what the highest wage of the club is, which is currently not Kadamateri, because that's 50% of his wage to begin with. It's on a 4K, or 3.5 actually, is what he's actually on, not 4K. So someone like Jackson, who's on 3,000 already, he realistically would be bumped if he wanted to do a 1-year extension maybe to 3.5. Or someone like Ruffin, who's on $2,000, and if I want to give him 4 years, then I might bump him up to say $3,000. And Monsman might join on $3,500. But Dorico, who's only on 1,900, if you give him a 1-year bump, I think he's one of the best players. I could extend his contract to, mind you, this is the problem. Dorico only just signed, so I don't think giving him a new contract at the start of the season is how it would go realistically. I think we would wait till January or get close to January, see how he performs, see how he goes on, and then give him a new contract, if that makes sense. Whereas someone like Monsma, who has 1 year left to go, someone like Connor, who has 1 year left to go, someone like Ruffin, who has 1 year left to go, and were signed, they could all have their extensions now. They would have all their extensions now. House will probably leave. Jackson, we might leave a little bit. But Monsma, O'Connor, and Ruffin, I think we'll go 20% maybe 2,400, 25%, 25% boost for 3 years, 2.5 maybe. And bear in mind, these 3 start. I think bumping them all by 500 quid a week seems reasonable. We'll give 2 years bonus to Monsma and O'Connor, and we'll give 3 years to Ruffin. I think that's what we'll do. I'm not going to try and negotiate because I know they will be stupid. Like, I know how it goes in the lower leagues. Bear in mind that obviously all these wages have been cut to begin with just to be realistic. I think 2,300 for a contract that runs till the end of 2028, which can be renegotiated at any point. And if you think I've undercooked any of these or overcooked any of these, I will take that into account, obviously. It would be slightly more difficult to retroactively take out the money per contract, but I could try and work it out in theory. Like, for instance, O'Connor's been here since 2022, so renegotiated contract, 500 quid more a week, 2 more years, seems sensible. Dorico is a weird one because he is 32, but he's one of the better players. I think in real life, he'd probably end up playing until he's like 35, 36, probably easily. But in game, he might decline. So it's he literally only signed to the summer as well on a 1-year contract. So if it would feel unrealistic to immediately in-game give him a new contract because he's literally been here about 5 days. Walker we're trying to sell. Jackson House will just give more time. Everyone else basically okay, contract-wise. So squad tracker-wise, change their wages, we change their wages, and we change their wages. That will change the overall wage by $1.5 grand, all things considered. Intriguingly, more signing debuts as well have come through. We'll add them to the old list. Obviously, the wages have now gone up as well, a smidge. And interestingly, the actual shirt sales number has changed down £1,000, weirdly. Looks a bit like that right now. Not going well. Season tickets. Season tickets are the big one, so that will solve that problem. As will selling Walker, of course, if we get a deal. However, Bodo Glimt have come in for O'Connor. No. Bodo, I don't know how you're even aware of Lincoln, frankly. That's the one I'm hoping for. Who is this? Amian. They wouldn't realistically be coming in. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we definitely need a better youth scout. I keep forgetting to look at these. Brendan Gleeson. I'm so glad he's taking time out of his busy film schedule to scout for us. 2-star, 3-star. I'm just going to have to take you, aren't I? I'll recall Saboda and I'll get him going on it. It's the closest we're going to get. We are League One. I think actually, I don't know if I'm actually allowed 3-star, 3-star in League One. Realistically, we do need centre-back. Honestly, I think we need a proper backup centre defensive mid. We've got strikers of the wazoo. A right mid who can play right back, of course. I don't know if I need more. I don't know which one I need more of here and here. If we're sticking to the system, I don't know which one I'm going to need more. I'm going to regret that, aren't I? Holding, definitely. Defenders, yes, please. Right, so we've actually got a scout now, which is helpful. I need a space just to be able to constantly be able to check these out. 2-star, 4-star, no. Stop the simulation, please. Can European teams stop coming in for him and just someone in England? 3-star, 2-star will do fine as well. That will do us. The two of them are doing the same thing, really, but we'll get rid of that first scout now as well in case another 2-star, 2-star comes through. But we're not as bothered by those at this point now. All season tickets have come through. So we ignore youth facilities, ignore all the scouting stuff. If I do need to track scouting, then I'll... Now that we've actually got it properly sorted, I'll double check that later on, but it's 270k basically. I think the hiring one is ignored because you already have them, but I don't know if the network ones do count because that'd be 270k. So season tickets have come in, but we need to recalculate this. The stadium capacity is 10,669 at the LNER Stadium. Sinsel I'll call it Sinsel. Still feels wrong to say LNER. Sinsel per the financial rules. Season ticket sales are 1/3, we'll call it properly, in League 2/League 1 of the stadium capacity. So I get my calculator up on my phone. 10,669 divided by 3 is just over 3,500. And I now actually need to look up the season ticket price for Lincoln. I should know it, actually, because there's one in the household. So there's a really unfortunate thing right now in the sense that I think all the prices are behind images that have been removed for security reasons. However, there's early renewals, which are $295 for the Real Max stand and $380 for GBM and SRP stands. So I would say $330 on the basis that on the basis that $380 is 2 stands and Real Mac is 1 stand. Although I think one of them is smaller. I think an average that's nearer the $380 than $295 is probably better. And bear in mind these are renewals as well, so brand new ones I imagine are more expensive still. I think maybe 350 or 340, 350 is probably about right, based on those two bits. I'll split that difference. I'll go 345, which gives us £1,226,935 in the in column. There's a profit. There we go. Slightly more than the 106,000. Shot sales weirdly lower there, though. I don't know if I need to take off the 270k for the scouting mission, so we'll find out later on if we need to do that, but I don't think I do. Anywho, first match is upon us. They are predicted to line up for 1-1, the team that are effectively the most local rival to, well, at least the most consistent rival of recent years, I think, Peterborough, with Grimsby in the tier below. Mansfield are kind of in a similar boat, but Peterborough is a much fiercer rivalry, I think, in that case. And they have spent a fair few seasons together in League One now, apart from the one where Peterborough went up and back down again. But it's a tough start, although ratings-wise, the team doesn't look that great. I always forget these press conferences aren't actually about the club and they just help specific players. Also, just in case you haven't seen it, by the way, 25 has the ability to get overconfident, which is a nice touch, because it means you can't just praise them constantly. I'm just going to encourage all of them at this stage. It's the first game of the season. I'm just going to be encouraging. Brad House does start, actually, thinking about it. With the contract situation, he does start. So I might give him a few games, see how he plays, and if he does do well, Luis Diaz has gone to Spurs. We'll cover all that at the transfer deadline day, but blimey. I would argue the away kit's actually worse than the home kit as a kit clash. It is game 1, and I'm already having to go into their teams to make sure they don't play a 58 rated centre-back. Good start, game. Good start. Otherwise, I think we actually might be all right there. Adebisi is 1 higher rated. I don't know if that's a personal preference. It could have been personal preference, and the right back is actually better on the bench as well. Again, I don't know if these are personal preferences or not, but realistically, you probably could have got away with them in real life. And just because they probably ought to have a centre-back bench instead of 2 strikers, I'll put him on. But you saw our lineup, and we will go tactical view, as it's called in game. I think they advertised it as an immersive sim when they first announced it. But tactical view is his official name. I'm hoping this works. But welcome to the first game. It's Peterborough away, London Road. A fierce rivalry to kick things off with. It's a heck of a game to start with. We'll see how the two teams line up. I say we'll see how the two... We know how ours lines up. But they start with 4 at the back. It is not 4-4... It's 4-2-3-1, I think is what that is. But is that 3 attacking midfielders rather than 3 wide midfield... Like 2 wide midfielders in attacking roles? It's not the 4-4-1-1 that was predicted, though. We'll see if that actually provides a spanner. As I click go, by the way, it did also force me to only use 1 controller, so I don't know if that changed their lineup. I'll double-check their lineup. But yeah, we line up with the 3-5-2, essentially. 3-1-4-2 as it is officially labelled in-game. As the players get ready, I get primed to press the button that actually gives me the proper view of the... Actually, I'm not sure if we actually get started with the non-sideline view this year, because obviously that's the version... Obviously that's the version they think you want, is this view, rather than, you know, the one that looks like a real football game. Broadcast, there we go. I'll just quickly pause and make sure they've got their... Make sure those... Okay, so they did the changes do stick, so that's good. So I don't actually still need to have control of Peterborough as the game starts, which is really great, because there's one less thing for me to remember. As the ball's with Kadamoteri, and he's gone for an early chance there. That was a horrible time to pause. But it's good news and good for future reference that I don't need to still have control of them when we click tactical view, because it does force you out of control of Peterborough at that point in time. The corner goes in. It's not great. Deriqua gathers the ball, though. O'Connor, still up the field, is dispossessed. Get back, mate. Get back. Hon deals with that. No idea how you're supposed to actually pronounce his name. I really should have looked that one up. I'm just going to go with Hon. It is a curious name. That's a good ball to House, who holds the ball, gets smothered by about 4... Well, felt like 4 players, but 2. Kadamoteri gets it back, and gets it back off House again. Finds the space. That's wide. 2 chances early on here for Kadamoteri. Jet Steer in their goal. A well-travelled and well-experienced goalkeeper. I've got a weird feeling Jet Steer might be one of those people that I feel like should be about 37 now. And he might just be, 33 or something. Just because he's been around that long. It feels like he's been around that long. I don't know what the true answer is on that one, but I might look it up. He says, knowing full well that he will forget to. Erhan pulls that forward to Hamilton. House. Smashed in from Kadamoteri. 3 shots for Kadamoteri so far. Rolled out to Katongo. That's a poor touch from Randall, who, admittedly, our player then just smashes it straight at the Borough player. Hoku comes through dangerously. Ruffin deals with that. House finds the run of McGrandles. Kadamoteri holds the ball up well enough. That's an excellent ball. Wallin does well to get... Well, I mean, to be fair, his name is Wallin, and that's what he did. He's 31, Jetsteer. Jetsteer's 31. He's still in his prime. Bless him. It just feels like he's been in the game 20 years. It's ridiculous. Erhan with the corner. Mothersteel effectively heads it towards his own goal line, which is a curious decision. O'Connor. Erhan finds Kadamoteri in the box again, who turns twice. Steer with another save. And it'll be another chance to put the ball in the box from Erhan. I'm intrigued to know who is the actual target of these. Hackett, by the looks of things. Kadamoteri with a 5th shot. Is that? Let someone else have a go, mate. I say, these opening stages are all Lincoln. Deriqua. Peterborough have 1 dangerous advancement, I'll say. They didn't get a shot off. But otherwise, it's been all Lincoln. McGrandles finds Kadamoteri again. He's got to get one in eventually. And bear in mind, I've got no control of any of this. These players are just playing as per the tactic. And that tactic is designed to... McGrandles gets in the way again. Nicks that ball, which could have been fairly dangerous. Ruffin, though, now. Ruffin did... Yes, Ruffin did dislodge my brain there as I was trying to say that sentence. Erhan. Kadamoteri again. Plays the ball to House. That's an excellent... Wow! I don't know what the Peterborough defenders are doing there. That ball split their defence. And the first time House gets a shot, he buries it. The first time anyone other than Kadamoteri takes a strike. How they allowed this ball between them, I do not know. That is appalling. Maybe that's why Wallin doesn't start normally. It's a great finish. Maybe that's why they were playing the 58 rated centre-back, because he is actually better. But Ben House with the opener, 27 minutes in, finally making that pressure pay. And this is a huge scalp if Peterborough lose this. Admittedly, they're not faring amazingly well in real life this season, and particularly not right now. I seem to recall a couple of absolute smashings against Peterborough of late, but back-to-back losses in real life at the time of recording for Lincoln have dropped them from playoffs to 12th, I think it is. It's that tight. Get a good run in and anyone can make the playoffs, I think, this year. I think there's, if I remember rightly, League One right now is a couple of teams kind of fighting for first and second, and there's a couple more that feel certain for playoffs at this stage. There's a bit of a gulf. And then it's a chase for the last one, is how I viewed it last time we looked, and Lincoln happened to be in at that time. 7th. No, it's only two guaranteed. It's only two guaranteed in a playoff, isn't it? I had to think for a second there. It's the same ball to House. It's not the same finish from House. That's not amazing. I always find it weird that 4 get relegated and 3 get promoted. Nonetheless, Peterborough maybe finally with a chance to do something in this game. Fernandez finds Adebisi. In our half. Unnecessary flick to Adebisi. Randall. Motherseal. Back to Otto. They're in the final third. First time looks faintly dangerous. That's a good position for Randall. It's wide though. There is still danger in Peterborough. Rule them out at our peril. Calabateri's had 7 shots. If he'd buried any of them, this would have been much more done and dusted by now already. Good double teaming on Randall there, but it does still end up with Peterborough possession, unfortunately, as Monsma overcommits to the tackle there. And, well, Motherseal is clear, but the header is weak. Well, I mean, what a League One sponsor that is, by the way. Easy heat pumps. Calabateri, he's a good player. It was a very good acquisition. I did start Ultimate Team this year. I gave up after about a month. But in that time, I did intend to make Lincoln players my evolution players for the year. I thought I felt just like just having fun with Ultimate Team this year. The gameplay ruined that for me. But that goes to the back post. I did get Dorico to 80-something rated via Evolutions. He's the one player I did get evolved to a reasonable level. So it is quite funny using Dorico now as standard Dorico. But it's a dominant first half if not a dominant scoreline. Peterborough kicked out here and started... He's offside, isn't he? Yeah. Okay. Started on the front foot. Even I saw he was offside there. If we manage to hold on to this lead or enhance it, of course, then this is a hell of a statement day one. Peterborough in game, I suspect, might be slightly more competent than they are in real life right now, just because of overall ratings and all that jazz. I think the real problems in League One is a difficult League One. Birmingham, Wrexham, Huddersfield, Reading in game, I imagine, are going to be quite solid too. Bolton in game are going to be pretty solid. Blackpool in game are going to be pretty solid, as are Peterborough. Rotherham as well. There's a lot of teams that are going to be really quite competent in game, as that was not competent from O'Connor in defence. That was one of the worst challenges I've ever seen, attempted challenges, I should say, in my life. Ball goes in. We managed to intercept the second phase of the corner there, and Calabateri has a chance to build an attack. It is Dorico on the run. We've not seen a lot of him in attack so far, but off he comes now. McGrandles. Up he comes, as you say, not off he comes. He's not being substituted. Calabateri finding space. Not quite. He was offside. In fact, he found too much space, technically, I suppose. Oh no, actually. He's effectively an arse cheek offside, which is unfortunate. Wall in to Fernandez. Collins. I'm kind of effectively going to spoil when I've recorded this, but this feels a lot like the Man United-Newcastle game, where Newcastle, the away side, dominant in the early stages, then kind of didn't really do an awful lot for the remaining 60 minutes. Unfortunately, here, Lincoln have only scored 1 goal in that time. As offside? It looked like a foul against us, if anything. I missed what actually happened there. We're going to have to think about substitutes soon, though, because tiredness is a factor in an aggressive system like this. But, effectively, what this is, as I will pause once this is hopefully saved, this save is going to be scratching the FM itch, which is weird to say, because this is the closest, one could argue, to Football Manager you can get right now. That isn't Football Manager. In the absence of FM25, this is what I've turned to, because I'm not playing any games. There is a tactics system, less involved in the FM one, but there is a tactics system. Dorico's actually doing pretty okay at this stage. Hamilton's smidge tired, so like Bayless should come in. And for all his shots, Calabateri really ought to not be missing them as he is. So neither have target forward as a plus, which is a shame here. Oh no, they do have target forward as a plus. Then Jovan only has poacher. So that's why we have 2 strikers on the bench, because they do cover each other's position. I don't know why it doesn't say he's not target forward plus. down here. I guess it's because he's not on the pitch. He is taller, weirdly. So I don't... It is weird that the shorter player is the target forward, but whatever. We'll get Draper on. Hackett's actually doing all right on the left-hand side as well. As their goalkeeper just punts it straight out. Monsper's absolutely knackered, though. Out of the 3 defenders, he is the only one that is on ball-playing defender because it is his plus. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Ricky J. Jones equalises. They've been more in it this half. I hate this POV camera, but can't see anything. He's ahead of the defender and Ruffin. Is it Ruffin? No, it's O'Connor again, actually. All the questionable defensive things I've seen so far in this game have been through O'Connor, which isn't helpful. And the early dominance that we failed to capitalise on is coming to haunt us. But here's Deriqua. Bayliss. Forward to House. Back to Bayliss, who... Well, he's sort of effectively pre-fouled. They attempt a tackle, they miss a tackle, then he runs into the failed tackle, which in theory should be a foul. But that is a good finish, and that's the best replay of it we've seen so far. Erhon again. Puts the ball in. It's Amy O'Connor. That's really short. Back to Erhon, though. Bayliss. Draper on the edge of the box. Hamer. What are you doing, mate? That gets a deflection and falls kindly to O'Connor. Hamer. Bayliss. Draper goes for it. We foil the quick goal kick, and he falls his own rollout there, realistically. Erhon. Finds McGrandles. Bayliss. House, if he's onside, is a good chance. There's another corner. I think this is about to be flagged as off, so yes, much more off than he looked, I will say, in real time, but we'll get Bakama on, and McGrandles can be replaced by Moylan. No, actually, we'll bring Jeffrey and put him in the left-hand one. I never understand why people have exclamation points in roles, in positions where they literally have capability. He literally has the capability of CM. I've not altered him at all. And Deriqua has capability of right mid, and yet they have them. It's so confusing. It's part of the reason why I actually allowed myself coaches as well to help combat that a little bit. It's why I allowed that one to be a gold one, because it helps combat that negative that they get from being out of position when they are quite literally in position. I could have just changed their primary position, I suppose. That would have also solved it, but it is what it is. And I don't think I'm overdoing it in any way, shape or form there. I think for the level of team that we're at League One, I think the amount of coaches we've got and the quality of the coaches we've got makes sense. Oh no. Oh no. Got away with that. POV is probably going to be the most annoying thing in the game, hasn't it? And the fact they never put the substitutes on the right way around. Jones. I don't really like how much space they're getting now. Also, Deriqua doesn't really feel like he's in defence enough. I will say this, yeah, the wingers don't feel like they're actually tracking back enough, which is probably why they're not tired. I expected them to be tired at this stage of the game. I think realistically, to replicate the proper 3-5-2, you actually need to do a 5-back with full-backs that push up. But that's a really good save from Jed Steer, actually. Because from watching Lincoln, those full-backs are full-backs. Those wide players do defend. At the very least, the current role that they're on in-game isn't allowing them to do that. Bayliss, first shot blocked and then just can't get out of his own feet. Poku's done really well to hold this up. Ruffin gets the ball off him, though, eventually. Draper has the run of Erhon. The holding midfielder made the run there. Steer saves. They didn't find Erhon, but he made the run. Yeah, Randall would be targeted by Deriqua at this point in time. Deriqua is not doing the defensive work, although he's now doing the defensive work, but he's not in the position he should be. It should be a left wing-back position rather than a right wing-back position rather than a right mid position, I think. I will adjust accordingly. Bayliss. Deriqua. 5 minutes of added time is a lot. Can't seem to get the ball off Con Clark. Adebisi. Jones. Sucks in 2 defenders. They now reprofile to try and get to Con Clark. How is he not offside? He is. Okay. I was alarmed by the fact that there was so much space for him there. Not that much offside, actually. 1 minute to do something in. Makama just chest that down. That's good. 6'5", Makama. Weird for the poacher to be the tall one. Makama. One last chance. Draper. Can he turn? Can he get a shot off? He can. It's another save, and it does fall back to the goalkeeper. This will be time. It's 1-1. And I dare say it's a disappointment. Spoil shared in the rivalry. People very much did come back into that. They were worthy of their equaliser, but Lincoln were worthy of more than 1 goal to start with. Point apiece to start things off in League One. But the closest thing you can get right now to neighbours. So I'll be honest, I'm just going to go on this page. I didn't see a lot of Hackett or Deriqua in that game at all, offensively or defensively. I think something definitely needs to be done with them going forward. We are just going to travel forward, after I just double check budget things first, just to make sure things like travel costs and shirt sales. We don't get any attendance stuff for that because it's not at our stadium, I think. I believe travel costs are done at 1/10 of what it has on here, so that'll just be 1,600 quid to go to Peterborough from Lincoln, which, I'll be honest, still feels like a lot. But I guess it's the whole team and their coaching staff and all that jazz, so I guess it might work out something like that in real life. Nonetheless, we're just going to deal with this away fixture in the Carabao Cup, and then we'll do 3 games next time round and the transfer deadline. That is a German team coming in for, I think that's St. Pauli, isn't it? Oh no, sorry, that's Antalyaspor. It looks a lot like the St. Pauli patch. Weirdly, we did have someone scouting Turkey to start with this year, but nonetheless, no. So I don't know if there's a Turkish connection with Lincoln that I'm missing. Cambridge have put in an offer for Duffy. They want to buy Duffy. At 60 rated, I don't know if he'll get any more game time at Cambridge than he will do at Lincoln. I think if a League 2 team may have come in for him, I might have considered a little bit more. But I dare say even Cambridge's squad is stronger than Duffy. I'm going to reject that because I don't know how much potential he has either. Is he on player? As I say, the only person I actively think can go is Walker. Swindon's said to be a 5-back, 5-3-2, with Shamanga, the wing play style. But this is Carabao Cup. I care very little for it. Lincoln were dumped out of it in real life by Harrogate. Oh, okay, maybe the coaching thing is coming into play now because now they're happy. They're now all +4. Well, the strikers are already +1, so the defenders are on bronze. Not too bothered by rotation in the opponent's team in the Carabao Cup, so I'm not going to bother looking at them for this. Onsman's a bit tired, so we'll put Hamer in. As is Ruffin, actually, for that matter, so we'll put an early play centre-back. That's probably why he's not played a lot in real life either. Akadid is a smidge tired, we'll play Jeffries. And Kanabatari's a bit tired, we'll play Draper. Sim, well, we're out of that as well, so that's great. Better side as well, but we lose on penalties 3-2. I said I don't have to deal with the Carabao Cup. It's meant to be realistic, and we've been dumped out of the Carabao Cup immediately, like we were in real life, by a League 2 team as well. Might not be the same one, it still works. But anyway, I'll leave that there for now. We will come back and do the remainder of September and deadline day in the next one. We will obviously do more than one match live in it as well. Rather than I feel like we ought to do, just because there's a bit of a rivalry there as well now. As to whether you do Wigan or Stockport, I would like to have a game at Sincil Bank. Wild that we go through September and only play one game at home. It is interesting. Stockport in real life were said to be quite good, and I don't actually know how well Stockport are doing, actually. I've forgotten. I feel like they're doing all right. I quickly just set the table after one game. They have lost that first one in the game. So I feel like Wigan Live might be a better one just because they did win their first game. By the way, I do hate the fact where they put the labels for promotion. How is it December, as of recording? How is it December and they still haven't fixed that? How do they still have the labels where those things start and not where those things end? Because according to this, it makes it look like nobody gets promoted and only the top two get the playoffs. And if you did work it out being the other way around, you have no idea where the playoffs end. Just visualising this. So, crazy. Yeah, so I think we'll probably do Wigan and Rotherham just because Wigan won the first game. Rotherham didn't, but they are more of a rival than Stockport. Their deadline day as well. I don't really know if I'm going to do anything transfer-wise. It's basically entirely hinges on whether Walker goes or not, because otherwise I can only sign on to 21s. We'll leave that there. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this, do like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate all of that jazz. Any comments, any suggestions, anything I should adjust, let me know. Please let me know. But until next time, thank you for watching.